and is the chairman of the APC, Comrade Oshiomole, who joins us in the program. Thank you so much, Comrade Oshiomole, for your time tonight on the program. Let me get your quick reaction to yesterday's ruling of the appeal court. What's your reaction to it, and what's your next step of action?
I can't hear now.
Okay, can you hear now?
Well, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So it's good to have you on the program. Okay, great. So I wanted to get your reaction to yesterday's Court of Appeal ruling.
Yeah, well, we thank their lordship. They have given their judgment. And in a democracy, the court is an independent arm of government. When they hand out judgment, it is not for you to pick and choose whether to obey or not. I accept their judgment in good faith. I am a product of the judiciary. I always tell people that if I am not a convict today, it's courtesy of a courageous bench and a very resourceful bar. All my life has been a life of struggle. People have always oppressed me, harassed me, and the court has always come to my aid. Even my big governor was courtesy of court. So yesterday's judgment, I accept it in good faith, and my lawyers will advise, having studied the judgment, what is the next line of action. So at this point, I will just thank their lordship for their judgment and look forward to my lawyers advising me on what should be the next line, if there should be another next line of action.
It does look like you agree, but are you talking to your lawyers? Are you leaving it at that? Are you talking to them to appeal it? Because the next step is to go to the Supreme Court.
It's not clear now.
Is it clear now?
It's not clear now.
All right, if I may go again with the question.
Are you talking now,
okay, let me try to get a question.
I can't hear you now.
All right, let me get a question to you. I understand our engineers are trying to resolve that communication line. But if you can hear me, Comrade Oshiomole, of course, the next step is go to the Supreme Court. Because after the appeal court, it's a Supreme Court. Are you talking to your lawyers after they've looked into the case to appeal it, or you're just going to leave it at that? I'll try once again. Comrade Oshiomole, are you talking to your lawyers to go to the Supreme Court, or you're just going to leave the judgment of the appeal court, which sacked you yesterday? Okay, we will try again. But in the meantime, as we try to reconnect with Comrade Oshiomole, earlier today, Channel Television, we caught up with a man who says he's the acting national chairman of the APC because of that court order in March. That is Chief Victor Giadom. And I started out by asking him about the judgment and where it leaves him, or Comrade Oshiomole. Take a listen to Mr. Giadom's reaction today.
So, being the acting national chairman of this party, through a court order that was delivered in the Federal High Court on the 16th of March 2020, and that order was given by Honorable Justice S.U. Bature. And I do not find it right that if a court in Nigeria has given an order, I don't see what any other person can do to come and disobey that order. Like I did say, it is important that we obey all order of court and judgment. That is how we can grow our democracy. We do not have the right to select the order that we will obey and the one that we won't obey. As I speak to you, there is no other counter order barring me from acting as acting national chairman of this party. So I do not see where the confusion would come from. And I want to say very clearly here that I'm the acting national chairman because the court has pronounced that and it's clear. So there can be no confusion. I don't think any other person, the section of the NWC, will override the decision of the court. I don't think that will be possible.
So we didn't leave it at that. There are a few things we asked Mr. Gyadom, some of the issues that he did not attend to at the press conference he held today. So the other thing we asked him is where does this leave, for example, the screening committee decision in the party and the governor of Edo State who has resigned from the party? And here is Mr. Gyadom's reaction to it.
I haven't seen his letter of resignation. I haven't seen it. Until until we have a copy of that letter, then we'll be able to say what next the party will do. And like we would revert back to NEC, because the organ that has that power and responsibility to provide direction for this party is the NEC. And nobody can constitute himself to be neck of this party. That is why it is worrisome the way things have gone in this party, that you just wake up in the morning and take decision without reference to neck. And I think that will not help the growth of this party. It should come back to the APC. That's fine. That's what I want. We'll be glad to have him back to this party. We won't like our serving governor. I'm not even just serving governor. Any member of this party, we won't like to lose our members to any other political party. There have been no primaries yet. There's going to be primaries in Edo, so there have been no primaries. So there's no issue of conducting a fresh one. There have never been a primary before. So I think that we will extend an olive hand to him and advise him not to leave our own party and to ensure him that he will have justice in this party and he will be able to express his ambition.
So you heard Mr. Gyadom there. We also took time to speak with Mr. Larry Isa Onilu on the decision to appoint Senator Abiola Ajimobi as the acting national chairman. And at the end of the day today, that also the decision of Mr. Hilad Eta standing in for Senator Ajimobi. I will play that interview for you in a couple of minutes. But let's get back to our conversation with Mr. Adams Oshiomole, the suspended national chairman of the APC. I guess you can hear me now, Comrade Oshiomole. So I was asking, what have you instructed your lawyers to take the decision to go to the Supreme Court to appeal this ruling of the appeal court?
I think I spoke to that. I said, what I do next will be based on my legal advice. And my lawyers will act on that. I don't think I need to communicate it through the television. It's a relationship between a lawyer and his client. And I think we should leave it at that. As for what I heard my brother, Victor was saying, until 7 p.m. yesterday, and only because I was in court, I remained the chairman of the APC. And before then, the governor of Edo State had voluntarily resigned from his membership of our party, and that resignation has since been accepted. The screening has been completed, and all that was left was done today by members of the NWC. We are 21 members. Since the court suspended me or upheld what they describe as the suspension by my word, and that is another matter, I did not attend that meeting in obedience to the court of law, to the judgment of the Court of Appeal. But the Court of Appeal did not suspend the functioning of the National Working Committee. And the constitution of the party states clearly, in the absence of the chairman, who act as chairman and the rest of it. And the National Working Committee, I'm told, and I read in the media as well, met, and about 16 out of 20 took some decisions to ensure that all attempt to scuttle the forthcoming primaries in Edo was not done. was not successful, and they went ahead to appoint primary election committee that will conduct the election. And to ensure that it is done creditably, they appoint in their wisdom a governor to chair the panel as the returning officer, along with other eminent members of the party that have been given that assignment by the NWC that sat today. I was not there because, as I said, in obedience to the court order, I have to stay away. But my advice to my brother Victor is about common sense. In the absence of the chairman, there is nothing in our rules, and the courts can only interpret the rules of the party and the Constitution of Nigeria. I mean, it serves to common sense. If the chairman is absent, it should be the deputy. In the absence of the deputy, it is the vice chairman. How does the deputy secretary come in? As we speak, we have a secretary sitting in the office, working late hours to ensure that the secretariat function. I think that my brother, who I just spoke, Victor Giadom, wants to take our party to the root of Rivers State, where they created so much problem that as we speak today in Rivers, we have crisis. My plea with them is that they should put God first and put our national party interests second and put our democracy deep in their heart and not try to use any externalities to destabilize our party the way it has been destabilized in Rivers State. Everybody knows, including the overall leader of our party, President Muhammadu Buhari, that we ought to try to resolve issues amicably as provided for within the constitution of our party. How can a deputy national chairman, assuming he was still one, claim to be chairman? So for me, these are not my problems now. What really concerns me at this point, just even if I'm not an officer of the party, I remain a member, and I'm very familiar and conversant with the provisions of the Constitution.
Comrade Oshiomole, apologies to Botin,
yes,
because we need to take a break. But when we come back, we still ask you a few questions around what is happening in the party and the way forward, and of course, where you stand in the midst of all of that. We take a break, and when we come back, we hear again from Comrade Adams Oshiomole. We have a panel to dissect the issues ahead of the Edo governorship election. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I bring to your notice that on the 16th of March 2020, Honorable Justice S.U. Bature, in suit number FCT/HC/N6447/2020, had ordered that the suspension of Comrade Ali Oshiomole, I, Chief Honorable Victor Giadom, should act as national chairman of our great party. That order could not be immediately effected at that time because of the temporary reprieve Adam Oshiomole got from the Court of Appeal on the same date. However, having removed the temporary reprieve yesterday by the Court of Appeal, and considering the fact that we cannot allow for a vacuum, I most humbly inform you that I have assumed office as the national chairman of our great party in compliance with the order of the court. As your acting national chairman and presiding officer in the National Working Committee, we therefore cancel the decision of the screening and appeal committee of the former chairman of the party on the Edo primaries.
On this chair, we sit. When the conversation needs to be frank, we sit.
There is enough work for God to do, but we haven't done our own share. In our daily conversations now, there is too much God.
When it needs to be truthful, we sit.
We are making progress. Are we making progress as much as we should? No.
When it demands the unafraid, we sit.
You cannot circumscribe somebody's rights. People have a right to say, I don't want to be in this country.
When inspiration is the motive,
I believe there is a drive, a hunger that Nigerians seem to have that just takes them to the top.
We sit on this chair for hard copy. Fridays at 8:30 p.m. only on Channels Television.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us tonight. We're looking at the crisis rocking the leadership of the APC, and I've been speaking with the suspended national chairman of the party, Comrade Adams Oshiomole. Thank you so much, Comrade Oshiomole, for talking to us tonight. So give us a sense of what you will be doing right now in the midst of all of this.
Well, I didn't hear the last part of your statement, but let me see. If you ask me what I'm doing now, I'm resting in obedience to the court order. I'm reflecting, and I'm consulting with my lawyers. And I'm satisfied that I'm doing what I should be doing. But however, this point needs to be made, just for the benefit of our teaming members and even for the Nigeria public who are interested on how political party functions in our country. Our party is not an armed force organization. It is a structured organization based on rules and regulations and on the basis of a constitution which was registered with INEC, and on the basis of which we transact the business of APC. I was suspended, or I was allegedly suspended by a ward, and the Court of Appeal in its wisdom has now upheld that suspension. The NWC, as an organ of the party, was never taken to court. There is no judicial pronouncement to the effect that NWC no longer exists. The court has not frozen the constitution of APC. The court actually yesterday quoted copiously sections of the APC constitution. And for me, the business of APC will be transacted as a member. The business of APC can only be managed on the basis of the constitution of the APC. I think there are people who are determined to hide under this crisis to perpetuate their own agenda. How, just listening to Mr. Victor saying that he has decisions to screen, the panel is appointed by NWC. The appeal panel is appointed by NWC. The decision to accept the recommendation is taken by NWC. Right. That NWC is valid. It is not taken by one man. It borders on the height of, I don't want to use the word mischief on my otherwise a good brother. It is unfair for him to think that anybody, including myself inclusive, whether in suspension or out of suspension, even as a city chairman, I do not have the power, and I have never exercised such power to set aside decisions taken by the National Working Committee. No individual can set aside the decision of the National Working Committee. And I'm shocked that Mr. Victor can claim, as a deputy national secretary, whose position is even in contest, whether having resigned from the office and he has not been renominated back. You don't walk out of your job, you resign, we accept the resignation, you return back. But this is a matter for another day. But assuming he was even a substantive legal deputy national secretary, he thinks that, or according to him, he has now been posed as acting chairman by whatever authority he has quoted, that gives him power as a sole administrator, like a military administrator, to set aside decisions democratically taken with minutes in place. As we speak, the real secretary is in the office. So I just want to appeal that if anybody wants to create confusion within the party, the media should not aid such person. Look critically at the constitution of the APC.
We need to leave it at that, Comrade Adams Oshiomole. And I must sincerely thank you for your time tonight on the program. and wish you the very best in the coming days. That's the suspended national chairman of the APC, Comrade Adams Oshiomole. Let's look deeper into this matter and let's dissect it for you. I have joining me on the panel tonight. Here is Mr. GT Ogunye in our Lagos studio here. He's a lawyer. Thank you so much, Mr. Ogunye, for joining us tonight. And in our Abuja studio is also a lawyer and a member of the APC, Mr. Daniel Buala. Also, there is a political analyst, Mr. Jide Ojo. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time at such a day as this. Let's get into the heart of it and perhaps the legality which has thrown up a lot of issues around the leadership of the APC. For you, Mr. Ogunye, what do you make of the intervention of the court in political party affairs?
You know, I worry so much about the seeming insertion of our courts in political matters. Our courts appear now to be wedded to the intrigues in our political parties and the whims and caprices of politicians who are waging unending warfare in their political parties and positioning themselves and all that. This is not the first time we've had this. You know, in the past, the PDP too was embroiled in internal leadership crisis and they were going to court every time. Now it is the APC that is doing that. I worry generally about that. And I also worry about the pronouncements of our court regarding those political cases, you know, and their implications for not only the judiciary, for our electoral system also, but also for democracy and governance generally. Look, when the news broke yesterday that the court had intervened again, as many courts did in the past over this APC leadership problem. Because Nigerians can recall that it wasn't only an Abuja court that intervened. Disparate orders were being procured left, right, and center, including Kano, Sokoto, FCT High Court, two courts
of coordinated jurisdiction. Because that's, I mean, it comes to the issue of judiciary, how perhaps the judiciary is not able to regularize some of these when they are going on in different courts.
No, and let me tell you why I say I'm bothered. Look, in ordinary civil cases, for those who are familiar with what I'm saying, there is a certain threshold that cases, political cases, trade union cases, cases of administrative discipline must reach before they become justiciable. And so you have the doctrine of ripeness and exhaustion of administrative remedies. In trade unions and in political party also, in matters that are regarded as the internal affairs of the party, until you reach certain threshold, until you exhaust all the administrative and internal, remedies, you can't go to court. And so I would wish to see our courts rendering many of these cases non-justiciable and pulling back as a deliberate judicial policy, because it's anchored on the rule of law. We have cases to support that. For example, when people in the university, in the public service, everywhere are being taken through the administrative disciplinary process, they could be suspended, for example, and they are asked to appear before a panel, after that suspension to determine whether they will be dismissed or they will be reinstated. If they rush to court, our courts up to the apex level, and I'm talking about employment, I'm talking about issue of survival of that person, our courts up to the apex level will say, no, you've not exhausted the internal remedy. Go and appear before that panel. Sort it out before you come and bother us in court. The speed with which our courts serially now dabble into these political matters worry me, because they could do serious damage to the health of the judiciary. And I'm more concerned about that than the fate of politicians, really.
Let me for a moment, let's look at another angle to this, and it's perhaps the issue of the politics of all of this. Mr. Jide Ojo, you are an expert in this area. Break it down for us. What this means and the implication of what is going on in the APC, the legality, the legal issues to the crisis, and the political implication.
Well, so the bottom line about this is, while I agree with my Nana senior brother, G.T. Ogunye, about the undue dragging of the judiciary into the political fray, it is still better than engaging in brigandage, or what we see in Motor Park leadership regime change, where people shoot their way into office and maintain themselves with force or with brute force. Yes, maybe in a sense, going to court, we must worry slowly that the life of a nation is longer than any human life. And unfortunately, while PDP went through its pangs and throes from about 2014 to 2018, APC, which came out in 2013, does not understood and find a creative way to sidestep the crisis that engulfed the former ruling party after 16 years in power. But having said that, the bottom line is that you cannot shut people out of the temple of justice under the guise that you want them to resolve issues administratively. Suspension is an administrative procedure. National chairman of APC was duly, according to the court, duly suspended by his ward. And that is the smallest unit of a political party. So the suspension order was hinged on administrative discipline, purportedly meant that you may have issues with whether it was right for a national chairman of a party to have been suspended by his ward in his home state, where he had been a governor for 8 years. That is debatable. But the right thing was done. If it was to be the NWC or the NEC or the convention that suspended somebody, you may say that has been breached. I recall that there have been instances in the past where people left the party wanting to come back into the party, and people will say, you have to go and join from your ward because it was from your ward that you were registered into the party. So we should be glad that all these opinions are being ventilated in the court of law. And the Superior Court of Law, over and above the Court of Coordinate Jurisdiction from Kano to Abuja to Edo, had decided to affirm the suspension. Now it is left for the national chairman, the embattled national chairman of APC, to go and discharge that burden of suspension through getting a superior court's decision.
Let me bring Mr. Boala into the conversation. So let me quickly bring Mr. Boala into the conversation. He can give us a benefit of an insider also. But if you suspect something, and I'm throwing this to the panel tonight, a suspicion about this kind of crisis that happens when elections are coming. We saw it in Zamfara. We saw it in Rivers. And we know what it costs the APC. Mr. Boala, give us a sense of an insider and what this means. What is the implication for your party?
Well, thank you for having me. Let me start the housekeeping by throwing the argument of Gideon to the trash can where it belongs. Mr. Gideon is parading an order that he claimed to have obtained from the court that gave him the power to preside as the acting chairman. That order is an order ex parte. An order ex parte has a lifespan. It is like COVID-19. No matter how effective COVID-19 is, if it doesn't kill you before 14 days, it must leave you after 14 days. That is the lifespan of COVID-19. And so Gideon's operation is like COVID-19 to the party. However, because it could not kill the party, the ex parte has outlived its usefulness. And secondly, even from the face of the order, there is a date that the court fixed, the date upon which the interlocutory application will be taken. That date has since elapsed, which is sometime in March. So that order does not exist. It is not more than newspaper that they use in carrying akara. Now that is one. So he lacks the legal capacity to parade himself as the acting chairman, even from the perspective of the order that he's parading. Now, secondly, let me take you to the point of Obaseke. Obaseke, if you give a strict interpretation of Article 21 of our party, Obaseke stands expelled from the party. Now, I'm not talking about political consideration. I'm talking about strict application, because Article 21 says, where a member of the party fails to use all the available internal mechanisms of the party to resolve dispute and goes to court, the evidence of his filing the matter in court stands expelled automatically. So it gives no room even to NWC to sit and discuss whether or not to agree or not to agree to his expulsion. He stands expelled. Now let me move to the issue of Comrade Adams Oshiomole. Without prejudice to his right to hear from his lawyer and then to go on appeal to the Supreme Court, this matter is straightforward and can be dealt with, and he will be back in his office in less than 24 hours. And let me give you this. The court, High Court, made an order that there was a suspension in his ward and that suspension is valid. Now, because he did not challenge it, he went to the Court of Appeal, and Court of Appeal sustained or upheld the decision of that High Court that because there is a suspension, which is the foundation of membership of a party, he ceases to operate as the chairman, because like an umbilical cord, you need to be a member to function as a chairman. All that Comrade Adams Oshiomole needs to do now is for the executive members of his ward, consequent on the order or the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which has established their sanctity and their power, all they need is to sign a resolution recalling Comrade Adams Oshiomole back into the party. The said resolution should be served on National Working Committee. Upon receipt of that resolution, Comrade Adams Oshiomole stands returned into his position, because all of the judgment of the court is hinged on that suspension. And the court does not have power to stop the executive from recalling him. So once they recall him by a resolution, he doesn't have to go to court to seek for any interpretation to return back to his office. It is as simple as that. But that is without his prejudice, without the prejudice to his right to go on appeal. This is a fact as it stands. Now, generally as a political party, tomorrow we are going to issue a world press conference. We are going to issue a statement. If the party does not, take it upon itself to be consistent and to resolve some of these problems that are coming here and there. Take, for example, Gideon. Gideon is operating from certain instruction from a quarter that is giving him the assurances that he will be made the national chairman. And they want to replicate the very COVID-19 that destroyed APC in Rivers State. They want to bring it back to the national body. We will not, as party members,
So, Mr. Boala,
of the party.
We need to take another break. But when we come back, there is a far more far-reaching implication of all of this issue as we're dissecting it. And we'll look at those perspectives. Of course, we'll hear from Mr. Issa Onilu why they took the decision on Senator Abiola Ajimobi and Billy Adeta. That's going to be afterwards. We're going to speak.
The NWC reaffirms His Excellency Chief Ajimobi, the Deputy National Chairman South, as the acting national chairman of the party. And in his absence, as also enshrined in our constitution, the national vice chairman of the party from the zone from which the national chairman hails from, and in this case, the South-South, acts on behalf of His Excellency Chief Oshiomole. The party is running unencumbered. The constitution of the party envisages that from time to time, we will have these kinds of circumstances, and because this is so, the Constitution provides us with remedies. And following the ongoing Edo State primaries of the party, the NWC has constituted an election panel, a 7-man election panel for the Edo primary elections that is scheduled to hold on the 22nd of June 2020.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. My panel tonight, dissecting these issues for us, is Mr. G.T. Ogunye. He's a lawyer. And in our Abuja studio is Mr. Daniel Bwala, also a lawyer and a member of the APC, and Mr. Jide Ojo, a political analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for talking to us. We took time out to ask Mr. Lanre Issa Onilu, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, in a telephone interview earlier today about the decision that they took. Let me allow you to hear some part of that telephone interview. There seems to be some confusion. We would like you to clarify issue. Yesterday, the party came out to say the former governor of Oyo State, Oshiomole, is the acting national chairman of the party. But this morning, the party has reversed itself to say is Mr. Chief Hilliard Etta. What has caused this?
No, nothing has been reversed. It's still the same issue. Our constitution recognizes there could be a situation where the chairman is not available, and it provides for steps to take to fill that gap. Section 14.1, subsection 3 of our constitution says the deputy national chairman from that zone would take over. That is the constitutional provision. In this case, former Governor Abiola Ajimobi is the deputy chairman, national chairman, South, from the same zone with the chairman that the court affirmed his suspension yesterday. So he came in based on that provision. But because it is also not available in Abuja, and we had a meeting of NWC this morning, our constitution also provides that when the chairman, now Ajimobi, is not around, we should appoint one of us to chair that meeting.
That's a portion of the telephone interview earlier today with Mr. Larry Isonulu. Let me get my panel to look at the way forward for the APC, the political implication of this. I laid a premise earlier about the issue in Zamfara, issue in River State, and in fact in Bayelsa State. All of these issues are hinged, and the APC lost out to some of the issues from the courtrooms. Mr. Ogunye, you see that playing out again in Edo State?
Look, let me just face this thing. Look, my colleague in Abuja, in his own contribution, was saying that disputes are better settled in court rather than resorting to fisticuffs and self-help and brigandage and all that. Look, I'm saying that our courts have to be circumspect the way they handle all these cases and have to ensure that in handling them, they don't infringe on the rights of the larger electorate. I can't recover as a lawyer from the idea that in my lifetime, a court, any court, will buy a political party from fielding a candidate, as it happened in River State. We're not even talking about the party involved, because I'm not partisan on this matter. Because the electorate have a right to choose. As a court, you infringe on that right by so ruling. And what was the excuse? That they were fighting their party. They couldn't agree, so they dragged themselves to court. Primary was ahead, and that primary was time-banned. And the court injuncted, thou shalt not conduct a primary. They went ahead to do it. And when they did it, what should have happened? What does the law say about contempt of court? Send those persons to prison for defying you, but for you to gravitate to barring a party from fielding a candidate.
But who then becomes the arbiter, Mr. Ogunye? Who is the arbiter when there is a crisis?
I'm saying that, look, in a life situation you go to court, court can even raise the issue of jurisdiction, so motu. Address me. Do I have jurisdiction to dabble into this matter? Should I entertain it? So it is not just a matter of, oh, they are the one inundating the court. They are the one coming to us. You are the arbiter. If they came to you and you knew that it wasn't proper, court, even after trial, can non-suit a matter and say, look, I won't decide it. We are non-suiting a matter. It's a relief that court grants. So I am saying that it can't just be an acceptable excuse that because the courts are there and because politicians want to inundate the court, to burnish their position, to strengthen themselves and all that in their own political fray, that they need to go to court to obtain an order. The court should be too willing to give such an order. In Zamfara, elsewhere, the doctrine of wasted vote. Do you know the implication? 500,000 votes. Do you know how much Nigeria, taxpayer, spend on conducting election, on printing ballot papers, and then caught with a judicial pen? Right. Just like committing mass murder. You then say 500,000 votes wasted. So in our jurisprudence, where does it one come from? I'm a lawyer, and I'm concerned about that. And in the judiciary, there should be a great concern about this. Politicians will do their thing. But the judiciary is the third arm of government. The judiciary has a higher responsibility in the triangle, if you ask me, to do what is right.
Okay,
Mr. The Nigerian people. That's the point I'm making. It's not just about, yes, the costs are there, so once they bring a matter, we adjudicate it. And we start giving orders and injunctions and all that, and then complicate the political process and the democratic process.
Let me quickly bring in the panel from Abuja on their final thoughts on the program. Mr. Ojo, give us a sense of what you think this is for the APC. In a very recent history, they've lost out at least in 3 states. Do you see that playing out again in Edo, for example?
Well, but for the suspension, affirmation of the suspension of the national chairman, yesterday will have gone down in history as a day that APC should be mourning the loss of a serving governor. Because to win a state in an electoral contest does not come easy. And we have September 19 and October 10 staring us in the face. At least these 2 off-cycle elections the party should even be journeying to prepare for the primaries. The primaries in Edo State has been scheduled for June 22nd. Nobody is too sure whether these primaries will hold as scheduled, because tomorrow there may be another injunction staying action on the holding of the primaries. Somebody is already saying that he has not even seen the resignation or the resignation order of the governor of Edo State, who addressed a press conference to say, I've ceased to be a member of the APC. His deputy has also resigned. But the bottom line is this. I think we should be mindful of national interest in all that we do. Politics should be developmental. We are not playing developmental politics in Nigeria. Look at the governance deficit that is going on.
Right.
And everything is about, if it's not COVID-19, it's now Edo, it's now about Oshiomole versus Obaseki. Where does that take us in terms of good governance?
Let me get Mr. Buala. Let me get Mr. Buala's final thought also. Where does this leave your party? A quagmire, difficult to resolve, going forward?
No, there is at the party level, like I gave you my own beat in terms of legal position. In less than 48 hours, Oshiomole can come back. So the controversy around there will not be there. As a faithful member of the party and as a dogged supporter of this government, I will only make a plea that Mr. President should look at any minister of the government of the Federation, any of your appointee, is found to be interfering with the administration of the party, which is the platform on which you find your legitimacy as a president. That minister should be fired forthwith. What happened in the last 48 hours is an embarrassment to the president. And so I think that the president at this point, the idea that somebody is appointed, he will stay till the end of his tenure, is not a sign of good governance and true leadership. People should be able to know they can be held to account if they misbehave as appointees of the government of the Federation. That is my position regarding this matter.
I must sincerely thank you very much for talking to us, gentlemen. Mr. Daniel Buala there, a lawyer and a member of the APC, and Mr. Gideon Ojo, a political analyst, of course, and our friend, Mr. G.T. Ogunye. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Well, everyone, that's where we leave it tonight on the show, and I wish you a very wonderful, a pleasant evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Now your house will they come?
Wetin happen?
We won't go out. Abeg, who you sabi for that EKDC office? Because we notice say anytime our street light and your own get problem, now on them dey first do.
Our lights and una light get first together. Una don get light, we never get.
I no kukuma sabi anybody. But wait, una don do una customer information update. Nearly everybody for the area don do their own now. Customer information update na the new way wey EKEDC carry dey reach their customers. Log on to www.ekedp.com/update-customer. Click on customer information update, then enter your meter number or your account number.
We no be landlord o.
E no mean. In fact, for the form, they go ask you whether you be landlord or tenant. They go ask for your phone number, ask for your email. In fact, Ecodisco people go call you to confirm. EKEDC customer information update. Now the ogbonge way Ecodisco carry they give us better service.
A city with self-sufficient and sustainable state-of-the-art urban design. A city with technologies that solve the conventional shortcoming of real estate. A city that opens you up to amazing business opportunities.
Welcome to Eco City, a master plan with top-notch infrastructure, spacious landscape, and global standard security.
Invest today in Eco City residential and commercial property development and get a 50% discount.
Pay $1 million initial deposit and get a double-door fridge or a washing machine.
Welcome to Eco City, where your dreams become home.
Hello and welcome to News Track. I am Olumide Macaulay. We begin with politics. There appears to be some confusion as to who is the acting national chairman of the All Progressives Congress following the appeal court's ruling affirming the suspension of Mr. Adams Oshiomole. Two persons are laying claim to that position, with the party's National Working Committee affirming former Oyo State Governor Abiola Ajimobi as the acting national chairman. But due to Mr. Ajimobi's unavoidable absence, the NWC National Working Committee in Abuja today unanimously appointed the National Vice Chairman for South-South, Hilliard Etta, due to act on his behalf.
We have resorted strictly to the Constitution of the All Progressives Congress because the Constitution